Cognitive literary criticism is an interdisciplinary approach to the analysis of literature that draws on insights and methodologies from cognitive science. It explores how readers perceive, understand, and interpret literary texts by examining the cognitive processes involved in reading and literary experience. This approach emerged in the late 20th century and has since gained prominence in literary studies. Key concepts in cognitive literary criticism include embodied cognition. This perspective emphasizes the role of the body and sensory experiences in shaping cognition. Cognitive literary critics explore how bodily sensations, emotions, and embodied experiences influence readers' interpretations of texts. Theory of mind. Cognitive literary criticism examines how readers attribute mental states, beliefs, and intentions to fictional characters. It explores the process of mind reading, or understanding characters' thoughts and emotions based on textual cues. Schema theory. According to schema theory, readers bring pre-existing knowledge, beliefs, and cognitive frameworks schemas to the reading process. Cognitive literary critics analyze how readers' schemas influence their understanding and interpretation of literary texts. Narrative comprehension. Cognitive literary criticism investigates the cognitive processes involved in understanding narrative structures, including plot, character development, and thematic elements. It explores how readers construct mental representations of fictional worlds and events. Empathy and identification. Cognitive literary critics explore the role of empathy and identification in readers' engagement with literary characters. They examine how readers emotionally resonate with characters' experiences and perspectives. Aesthetic experience. Cognitive literary criticism investigates the cognitive mechanisms underlying readers' aesthetic appreciation of literary texts. It examines how readers derive pleasure from linguistic creativity, narrative complexity, and other formal features of literature. Overall, cognitive literary criticism offers valuable insights into the complex interplay between cognition, language, and literary meaning. By bridging the gap between literary studies and cognitive science, this approach enriches our understanding of how literature shapes and reflects human thought and experience. Cognitive literary criticism offers unique features that distinguish it from other approaches to literary analysis. Here are some of these features with examples. Focus on cognitive processes. Cognitive literary criticism places a strong emphasis on the cognitive processes involved in reading and interpreting literary texts. For example, instead of solely analyzing the themes or symbols in a novel, cognitive literary critics might explore how readers construct mental representations of the narrative world and characters. Interdisciplinary approach. Cognitive literary criticism integrates insights from cognitive science, psychology, linguistics, and literary theory. This interdisciplinary approach enriches literary analysis by providing new perspectives and methodologies. For instance, researchers might use cognitive linguistics to examine how metaphorical language and poetry shapes readers' conceptual understanding. Embodied cognition. Cognitive literary criticism considers the role of embodied experiences and sensory perceptions in literary interpretation. For example, a study might investigate how descriptions of food in a novel evoke sensory experiences and trigger emotional responses in readers. Theory of mind and characterization. Cognitive literary criticism explores readers' ability to attribute mental states and intentions to fictional characters. For instance, researchers might analyze how readers infer characters' thoughts and emotions based on narrative cues and their own experiences. Schema theory and reader response. Cognitive literary critics examine how readers' pre-existing knowledge and cognitive schemas influence their interpretation of texts. For example, a reader's familiarity with a particular literary genre or cultural background can shape their understanding of a novel's themes and characters. Narrative comprehension and processing. Cognitive literary criticism investigates how readers comprehend and process narrative structures, including plot, point of view, and temporal sequencing. For instance, researchers might use eye-tracking technology to study how readers navigate complex narrative passages and allocate attention to different textual elements. Empathy and emotional engagement. Cognitive literary criticism explores the emotional responses and empathetic connections that readers develop with fictional characters. For example, a study might examine how readers' empathetic responses to characters' experiences of loss or trauma influence their interpretation of a novel's themes. These unique features of cognitive literary criticism demonstrate its capacity to deepen our understanding of the complex cognitive and emotional processes involved in reading and interpreting literature. By integrating insights from cognitive science with literary analysis, this approach offers new perspectives on the relationship between language, cognition, and aesthetic experience. Let's use George Orwell's 1984 as an example to discuss cognitive literary criticism. Focus on cognitive processes. In 1984, cognitive literary criticism can explore how readers construct mental representations of the dystopian society depicted in the novel. Readers engage in cognitive processes to understand the oppressive regime of Big Brother, the party's slogans, and the psychological manipulation tactics employed by the government. Interdisciplinary approach. Cognitive literary criticism integrates insights from psychology to analyze the psychological effects of living under constant surveillance and the manipulation of truth. Linguistics can be used to examine the language of newspeak and its impact on thought control. Embodied cognition. Cognitive literary criticism might investigate how descriptions of physical sensations, such as the oppressive heat in Winston's apartment or the discomfort of physical torture, evoke visceral responses in readers, influencing their interpretation of the novels. Themes. Theory of mind and characterization. Cognitive literary critics can explore readers' attributions of mental states to characters like Winston and O'Brien. Readers engage in theory of mind processes to understand the characters' motivations, beliefs, and emotional experiences within the oppressive society. Schema theory and reader response. Cognitive literary criticism can analyze how readers' pre-existing knowledge and beliefs about totalitarian regimes shape their interpretation of 1984. Readers' schemas influence their understanding of the novel's themes of power, surveillance, and resistance. Narrative comprehension and processing. Cognitive literary criticism can investigate how readers comprehend the nonlinear narrative structure of 1984, which includes flashbacks, diary entries, and propaganda materials. Readers engage in cognitive processes to piece together the fragmented narrative and make sense of the protagonist's journey. Empathy and emotional engagement. Cognitive literary criticism might explore readers' emotional responses to characters' experiences of fear, betrayal, and rebellion. Readers empathize with Winston's struggles against oppression and feel emotionally invested in his quest for freedom, which shapes their interpretation of the novel's themes of individuality and resistance. By applying cognitive literary criticism to 1984, readers gain insights into the cognitive and emotional processes involved in engaging with Orwell's dystopian vision. This approach enriches our understanding of the novel's themes, characters, and narrative structure, highlighting the complex interplay between cognition, emotion, and literature. Let's delve into the significance, relevance, legacy, contribution, and impact of cognitive literary criticism. Significance. Cognitive literary criticism offers a significant departure from traditional approaches to literary analysis by integrating insights from cognitive science, psychology, linguistics, and other disciplines. It sheds light on the cognitive processes involved in reading and interpreting literature, enriching our understanding of how readers engage with texts. Relevance. In an era characterized by rapid technological advancements and information overload, cognitive literary criticism is highly relevant. It helps us navigate the complexities of contemporary literature and media by examining how cognitive processes shape our responses to textual and visual stimuli. Legacy. Cognitive literary criticism has left a lasting legacy by inspiring new avenues of research and interdisciplinary collaboration within literary studies and cognitive science. It has spurred the development of related fields such as cognitive poetics, cognitive narratology, and cognitive approaches to film and media studies. Contribution. Cognitive literary criticism has made several key contributions to the field of literary studies. It has deepened our understanding of the relationship between language, cognition, and aesthetic experience, providing valuable insights into the ways in which literature shapes and reflects human thought and emotion. Impact. Cognitive literary criticism has had a significant impact on both academic scholarship and literary culture more broadly. It has influenced how literary texts are taught, analyzed, and appreciated in educational settings, while also informing public discourse on topics such as empathy, imagination, and the psychology of reading. Overall, cognitive literary criticism has emerged as a vibrant and influential approach to the study of literature, offering new perspectives on the cognitive and emotional dimensions of literary experience. Its significance, relevance, legacy, contribution, and impact continue to shape scholarship and discourse within literary studies and beyond. Need. Understanding reader response. Traditional literary analysis often focuses on the author's intentions or the text itself, neglecting the role of the reader. Cognitive literary criticism addresses this gap by examining how readers perceive, understand, and interpret texts. Interdisciplinary perspective. Literature is a complex phenomenon that involves cognitive, emotional, and cultural factors. Cognitive literary criticism provides an interdisciplinary framework that integrates insights from cognitive science, psychology, linguistics, and literary theory to offer a more comprehensive understanding of literary experience. Relevance to contemporary culture. In today's digital age, where people are constantly bombarded with information and media, understanding how individuals engage with literature and other forms of storytelling is crucial. Cognitive literary criticism helps us make sense of the cognitive processes involved in reading, viewing, and interacting with texts in various media formats. Requirements. Interdisciplinary collaboration. Cognitive literary criticism requires collaboration between scholars from different disciplines, including literature, cognitive science, psychology, linguistics, and philosophy. This interdisciplinary approach ensures that diverse perspectives and methodologies are brought to bear on the study of literature. Empirical research methods. While literary analysis remains central to cognitive literary criticism, empirical research methods such as experiments, surveys, and eye-tracking studies are also employed to investigate cognitive processes involved in reading and interpretation. Theoretical frameworks. Cognitive literary criticism draws on various theoretical frameworks from cognitive science, including embodied cognition, theory of mind, schema theory, and narrative comprehension. Scholars must be familiar with these theoretical frameworks and apply them effectively to analyze literary texts. Critical reflection. As with any approach to literary analysis, critical reflection is essential in cognitive literary criticism. Scholars must critically evaluate their assumptions, methodologies, and interpretations to ensure rigor and accuracy in their analyses. By addressing these needs and requirements, cognitive literary criticism offers a valuable framework for understanding the complex relationship between literature, cognition, and culture. Let's provide a critical analysis of cognitive literary criticism. Strengths. Interdisciplinary approach. One of the key strengths of cognitive literary criticism is its interdisciplinary nature. By drawing on insights from cognitive science, psychology, linguistics, and literary theory, this approach offers a holistic understanding of literary experience. Emphasis on reader response. Cognitive literary criticism shifts the focus from the author or the text to the reader, highlighting the importance of understanding how readers perceive, interpret, and engage with literary texts. Empirical research methods. Incorporating empirical research methods allows cognitive literary critics to test hypotheses and validate theoretical claims, enhancing the credibility and rigor of their analyses. Relevance to contemporary culture. In an era characterized by rapid technological advancements and information overload, cognitive literary criticism provides valuable insights into how individuals engage with literature and other forms of storytelling in various media formats. Weaknesses. Reductionism. Critics argue that cognitive literary criticism can sometimes oversimplify the complex relationship between literature and cognition, reducing literary texts to mere stimuli for cognitive processes. This reductionism risks overlooking the aesthetic, cultural, and historical dimensions of literature. Subjectivity and interpretation. While cognitive literary criticism emphasizes empirical research methods, interpretation remains subjective and open to multiple readings. Critics argue that the cognitive processes involved in reading are highly individualized and context-dependent, making it challenging to generalize findings across different readers and texts. Neglect of cultural and historical contexts. Cognitive literary criticism tends to prioritize universal cognitive processes over cultural and historical specificities. Critics argue that this approach may overlook the ways in which literature is shaped by social, political, and historical contexts, limiting its explanatory power. Ethical considerations. Some scholars raise ethical concerns about the use of cognitive literary criticism, particularly regarding the manipulation of readers' cognitive processes for ideological or commercial purposes. Critics caution against reducing literature to a mere tool for cognitive manipulation or persuasion. Future directions. Integration with cultural studies. Future research in cognitive literary criticism could benefit from closer integration with cultural studies, post-colonial theory, and critical race theory to address the cultural and historical dimensions of literary experience. Ethical frameworks. Scholars should develop ethical frameworks to guide the use of cognitive literary criticism, particularly in the context of media manipulation, propaganda, and digital surveillance. Dialogue with practitioners. Engaging in dialogue with writers, educators, and practitioners can enrich cognitive literary criticism by providing insights into the creative process, pedagogical practices, and real-world applications of literary theory. In conclusion, while cognitive literary criticism offers valuable insights into the cognitive processes involved in reading and interpretation, it also faces challenges such as reductionism, subjectivity, and neglect of cultural contexts. By critically evaluating its strengths and weaknesses and exploring future directions for research, cognitive literary criticism can continue to evolve as a dynamic and relevant approach to the study of literature.